Focus on our weather. As Joe Bastardi said, the only weather we got, our brother from another mother, but the same heavenly father. Meteorologist Joe Bastardi from Weather Bell. Okay, my brother. So I reached out to Joe yesterday, and there were all these people saying the Super El Nino has formed. The Super El Nino is now with us. Okay, so Joe Bastardi's here with us to tell us we're all going to die. But before we do that, uh, tropical something something and the tropical cradle. The Bay of Campeche might be throwing at us some tropical rain. So, what do you see, Joe? And what can you report to us might happen this weekend and early next week?
Well, what's interesting about this system is, and if you've been following us on Weather Bell and also, I put it on Twitter, we've been saying that this is may not just simply go into Mexico. It's probably going to have uh, tropical storm to gale force winds on gale force winds on the eastern side of it when it reaches the Mexican coast near Tampico tomorrow afternoon and Sunday. Instead of continuing in, the ridge to the north breaks down and it's going to get pulled north. How much can remain as far as a well-developed circulation entity remains to be seen. But there's more than that
Mm.
involved here because it's rare. We're getting a cold front coming down here. Is coming into Texas, and it's going to continue to press southward all the way into the valley and all the way into the northwest Gulf coastal waters come Monday and Tuesday. In the meantime, you've got all this tropical moisture coming up, and there's also a possibility the thing just pops its head out into the northwest Gulf of Mexico and tries to develop out there. So it's a complex situation. The thing we always have to be concerned about when you're looking at Texas, whatever, all weather, with any system of tropical origin that has had a history for several days, it's got an immense amount of moisture with it, just looking to be unloaded. We saw that with Beryl last year. What was left of Beryl, the little spin in the atmosphere, and what it did in the hill country. We saw that with Amelia in '78 was unbelievable. Some places 45, 50 inches of rain with that. And they do it a couple of days after. But if they can get what we call the baroclinic spark, some type of cooling that can set it off and the condensation levels increase, boom, you've got that. So there's going to be widespread, excellent rain. I'll call it that, from northeast Mexico all the way into southern Louisiana because we're dealing with this drought. But the fear is that someplace could, wind up with 20, 30 inches of rain in a 3-day period out of this. I can't tell you exactly where, between, let's say, the low Rio Grande Valley and southern Louisiana. But I'd be surprised if Thursday or Friday next week someone didn't wind up with double digit totals as far as rainfall goes with this kind of situation.
You sent me a graphic just a few minutes back. I guess what the Hurricane Center is looking at a bunch of. This is the median of all the spaghetti strings, right? They're maybe calling
No,
for.
well, I sent you their cone. What's significant is their cone now has come around to what Weather Bell has been saying.
Mm.
We've been saying this, and I say, oh, this sounds pompous, but I got to promote our company here. We've been saying, hey, listen, we got to look out in the Northwest. I got a lot of clients. It may be Texas's biggest dredging company is a client of mine. So these guys, if you can't do work in Galveston or Corpus or along the Gulf Coast, they want to know about it a week away. So we've been looking at this for quite some time. And it's still, actually, we've been looking at it since sort of April 6th, because this is the last part of this whole pattern that we've been in the past couple of months. It's reaching its apex now. And I thought, well, it probably is going to produce an early season storm sometime in late May or June. So once this feature goes by, it's a complete shutdown on the Gulf side of things. So we've been seeing enough moisture. We've had 3 Pacific tropical storms, but that what we call the Central American gyre, which generates these things at this time of the year, has not produced for us. Well, it's going to have its shot here, and it fits the pattern. So, obviously, I'm biased toward a forecast that long, but too many things are falling into place for me to just say, well, no, forget it. It looks like it's at least a big rainmaker.
I had emphasized National Hurricane Center because, like in all things, government, it is what it is. I mean, you're always ahead of the curve, and we're so blessed to have a conversation with you
Well,
from time
not
to time.
always a hurricane, but what I'm saying is it gives a little bit more credibility to perhaps what we were saying. I mean, the guys, I love the Hurricane Center. You know, I may have arguments with them on some things, but hey, you know, it's still a free country, and you're allowed to discuss things, right?
I'm not poo-pooing what they do. It's precisely what you said, Joe. You got a lot of offshore rigs, and they need to know many more days in advance whether they're going to staff those rigs
Yeah.
and go
Well,
set.
you know, a practical thing is someone say to me, "Well, what does that do?" Well, let's say I think a hurricane is going to hit one spot and everybody thinks it's going to hit another spot. If you're an electric company and a client of mine, I say, "Well, get your people into this hotel, you know, maybe 60, 70 miles away so they could be there quicker when it's all over." And one day makes a lot of difference. Think about Beryl in Houston, right?
Mhm. I've got about 2 minutes left, and we've got this Super El Nino that has formed. Again, real quick, just the thumbnail sketch on this one. What does it mean? And my follow up question to this, if you could answer real quick, because previous conversations have said that, well, this diminishes the chance of more tropical activity in the Atlantic. Okay, so might this be the only tropical rain that we see this season as a result of this Super El Nino? What do you say, Joe?
Well, I'm not going to say that because you know we've had. I mean, Anita, there by the grace of God, go the valley in 1977. Category 5 hurricane hit 100 miles south of us. I
Well,
look at that track all the time, and that was an El Nino year. So I look at that track and go, "Oh my gosh! If that thing had come in from the east northeast as a Cat 5, are you kidding me? It would have made Beulah look like a spring shower. That storm." So you look at stuff like that. You look at Betsy, for instance. Betsy in '65 didn't come all the way back here, right? But that's the Louisiana benchmark storm for a powerful hurricane. There, by the grace of God, go we from 2002. You had an unprecedented event in the Gulf of Mexico, two Category 4s within 10 days, and neither of them hit the United States as a major hurricane, Lily and Isidore. So when you look at that, you say, well, no, I can't just completely shut it down. What I think is a better bet, though, is that we're going to see a lot of activity coming up into Mexico, September, October, into November, and that's going to help try to fill our watersheds up. And that's something we keep an eye on. But as far as I have a bigger concern about New England this year than I do the Gulf of Mexico once we're in the heart of the season.
as always, as Joe says, enjoy the weather. Why, Joe? Why?
Because it's the only weather you got.
Yeah. Big hug, my brother. Thank you so much for checking in. National meteorologist, weather superstar, our buddy, our brother, Joe Bastardi from Weather Bell. Look him up. Bless you, Joe. Have a great weekend.